The little screws come with 2 gold screws with 2 smaller little nuts, and then 4 of the M3 nuts, and then you've got the 2 Phillips screws here. So you put them through the base, secure them tightly with a nut. Then you put another nut on the top of each one, like so. Guys, it's hard doing this one-handed. Then we try the PCB for fit. Yeah, that's got a good bit of clearance for the solder bits underneath, and then we put the other nut on the top of each and clamp it down. It said to fit this board in, but then there's pins here you've got to solder wires onto, so I'd rather do that back up on my little adjustable platform, then put it in. But the battery holder goes in, 2 countersunk screws go through there, and it bolts on the bottom where the 2 gold ones are. So this has got leads. So I could solder this potentially to a switch and then push it through, so that would be okay. So the next one now is that we've got to do some of these switches and the output socket. So let me have a look at that and we'll continue on. But yeah, it's coming together. When you have an LED, you notice that one leg is longer than the other. The longer leg is the positive side, the shorter leg is the negative side. So I'm doing a lot of the wiring at the moment on the board. So I've got the LED to fit there. One leg goes up to here. I think so I've got these wires laying here, some here, battery wires. I've put all the switches in, sold all the terminals on there as well. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's coming together quite nicely. So I will continue on and do a bit more and show you some more progress. There's the 3 switches as well we've got to put in, but they've only got 2 terminals, so they're basically on off. There it is, all assembled. There's the front with all the switches on. All looking good. Output socket on the side. The last bit to do is put these feet on. How do they go on? Aha! They just stick on here. Just try and line them up a bit. That's a nice little touch, having the little feet to go on it as well. These kits are about £35, I think. Doesn't wobble. I'll just put the lid on because I'm going to leave it there today. So, the next thing we've got to do is I've got to get myself one of these PP3 batteries, I think is a calculator type battery, and then we'll power it up. But I'm also going to have to look God, I'll start again. So there's the finished item. Now the output, I need to get one of those because I haven't got an output lead. So, yeah, not good. Because obviously I've got to work out how this actually works and what it goes to. Obviously on off, and then you can have your 2 frequencies or 1 frequency for adjusting an AM. But where does this go into? That's the next question to find out. So anyway, we'll leave it there for today. And as you know, we've finished the 2-tone oscillator unit, and it's got a phono plug here. So I need some way to connect it to my CB, to the microphone socket. Well, I've only got this BNC wire, so what I've done is I've taken the BNC wire and cut it in half. So basically it makes me 2 connectors. Then I've stripped back this, which is RG58U, must be a 50 ohm cable, to reveal centre core and the braid. And then what we've got to do is somehow mount all this to the microphone socket. So I've got one of my printed circuit boards that I've got, and I've made 2 holes through here, worked out which way it needs to plug in, and then with the 2 holes I've got the little mic screws, and carefully screwed them through the printed circuit boards, or circuit board, and then it makes me a little plug-in board. Then I can hold this, plug this in the microphone, then we'll have the rest of the components and everything on here. But that's how I've mounted it, like so. And you can see from the side it's actually clamped onto the circuit board. So providing I don't put too much weight on here, there is a bit of movement, but I haven't pulled it down yet. I need to get a Phillips screwdriver and do them up quite tight. I've only got this little tiny thing at the moment, so let me just give them a bit of a crank up. Right, that's taken most of the slack out of it, and now it's quite solid. So that's the first thing we've got to do. So the next thing I've also got to do is I've got to fit a flick switch into this as well. So we're going to have 4 wires coming out of here, then we're going to have the braid and the centre pin coming into here, and we've got to put an on-off switch for transmit, as well as connect up to the audio part of the switch as well. I'll draw a diagram and show you how it looks now, and I'll put it up on the screen. You can see what I'm trying to achieve. But this should be quite a nice little board. And then good thing is, because it's basically going to be plugged in to this leave here, I can have this one for, say, the Royce, and then if I need to do any more, potentially I can move the cables about and reconfigure the microphone configuration to fit other radios as well. But I specifically want to do my Royce with this 2-tone oscillator first. So I'm hoping you can see that. That's my plan. So we're going to have the BNC coax coming in here, and on this side we're going to have a switch. We're going to have a row of connector blocks here. We have the mic pin here with the 4 wires coming out. So we've got a TX, a receive, the common, which is the braid from the microphone, and the audio. So the BNC coming in, the centre core will go to the audio, be connected to the microphone, and the common will be connected with the braid of the BNC. On this side we will have the control. So when I flick the switch to on, and it's got the braid from the microphone connected to the TX line, and we go into transmit, it will force the audio tone from the 2-tone oscillator into the radio and hopefully give the modulation envelope. Then when I don't need it, I flick the switch the other way, it will come out of transmit and go into receive, and the audio tone won't be present. That's the theory. I always like to try and draw a diagram out before I start, just to get my head around what I'm doing. So if I move this now, you can see here the next thing I need to do. Obviously at some point I've got to solder the wires in and connect them into here, and then we've got, I don't know whether to do that way might be better, and then I can split the wires and route them round, and I'll have a bit of a longer wire really. Yeah, I'm not sure really. And then I've got to have the other 2 coming in on one side with the switch. So really I'm probably going to need that over there and the switch here. Then I can have the microphone wires coming round there, the switch here. And then I've got to get the braid coming in. So I'll have the braid coming in here and the switch here, and then the wires coming around. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'll have the wires coming round and going into here, the 4 wires. Then I'll have the braid coming in on the side and the switch here, and then we can do the connections, and that gives me a bit more room to work here, plus room to do that. So if I put this and position this about there, and then I can have the cable coming in. I've got to work on some way on clamping the cable. I might see whether I can use another one of these as a cable clamp, because I don't want, where is it? I don't want this coming in and then bouncing round all over the top of that, and probably that would fit quite nicely on there and hold that, and then give us quite a nice bit of strain relief. I think I've got some old ones of these from broken microphones I could clamp that on with, and we need that to be held really nicely. Then the centre one could come straight out of there and the braid could run across there. and then we've got the switch here which we could put ourselves into transmit. Yeah, I think that's how I'm going to do it. Right, okay, let me get this mounted in first. All I'm using is almost like a bradawl. Now these have got holes down through the middle here, so I'm going to use 2 outer holes, bradawl down through the middle here through the board, and then put these little bolts that I've got. They're a bit long, but obviously this stands off the board a little way, and then I'll get a little hacksaw, cut them down and then just bolt them up underneath. Then all should be good. So you can see here the bigger hole that I've made, and then the next thing that I've got, and again I got them in Poundland, which I've now lost. Well, once before got a set of these picks, and this like pointed tapered thing is really good for clearing out PCB holes and also opening up this here. So I'm going to put that through now and attempt to open that up even larger. So I fitted the bolts. The only thing I've got left to do now is cut these down, and then we can bolt that on, but that's on there very secure. So the next thing is to fit the flick switch.